Palantir just reported earnings and the stock is up over 20%. Actually 27% as I am recording today's episode. What I want to do in this video is the following. Just take a closer overview on their earnings and some of the things that really stuck out to me. If you are a Palantir shareholder, make sure to subscribe, as later today or early tomorrow, I am going to read the transcript and listen to the earnings call and kind of do a more in-depth on the Q&A session, which I believe will provide a lot more information. So let's get started with this overview. So for those that are not familiar, I did my first Palantir video about a month ago when they released a lot more information on their AIP, their Artificial Intelligence Platform. And when I did more digging into this platform, that really kind of got me to become an investor in this company. For those not familiar, I am an electrical engineer and I used to work for a general contractor, a defense contractor. And for me to see the kind of work that these people were doing with their AIP was really, I just know how that pace in that market goes, and for them to kind of really move this quickly with the amount of security, in my opinion, was very, very amazing, and what really drove me to become an investor. So this artificial intelligence platform, I think, is what sold the deal for me. So I'm not too old of an investor. I believe my price point for Palantir is closer to $8. In the low ends of $8, maybe like $8.07 if I remember my price point. So obviously I am pretty happy with this after hour movement, but when I invest, I'm looking more for that long-term investment position. It's not something that I'm trying to get in and out, even with the 26% gain. So let's take a closer look at the press release and what the company kind of showcased to us. So first, they mentioned that they are profitable again this quarter. This is the second quarter of consecutive, so this is their second consecutive quarter of positive GAAP net income. So a lot of investors are excited about that. We're also going to see that they anticipate that they will remain profitable each quarter throughout the end of the year. So we can see investors are pretty excited about that. Overall, total revenue did grow 18% year over year to $525 million. The United States market is still pretty healthy for them. It grew 23% year over year overall. Now, obviously, they're going to break it down between commercial and government space. In the commercial space, that grew 26% year over year to $107 million. And the government in the US market grew 22% year over year to $230 million. So overall, we can see strong growth in all their platforms, mainly driven by kind of US government. Commercial revenue overall grew 15% and government revenue overall grew 20%. Not only that, we are seeing that their customer count grew 41% year over year and 7% quarter over quarter. Remember, we are in a very tricky time macroeconomics, so to be able to see strong year over year growth on customers, but more importantly, strong quarter over quarter growth or sequential growth is also pretty interesting and pretty great to see for Palantir right now. They do mention that their US commercial customer count increased 50% year over year from 103 customers last year to 155 customers in quarter one of 2023. So overall, we're seeing, obviously in their highlights, they're going to show a lot of their bullish case, but overall strong growth. CFO cash flow from operations was $187 million and adjusted free cash flow was $189 million. Plenty of cash and cash equivalents of roughly $2.9 billion. So nothing to worry about financially or fundamentally for this company at the moment. They did give guidance for quarter two, and it'll be roughly 528 to 532 million, a very, very small sequential growth if they stay within those values, depending on how their artificial intelligence platform, which is expected to be released to certain customers this month, does. I do believe there is a probability and possibility that they beat these guidance, but still a small sequential growth overall. Again, they expect adjusted income from operations to be 118 to 122 million. For the full year of 2023, they expect some nice growth, and again, they expect GAAP net income each quarter.
Discover the world of semiconductors without getting lost in the technical jargon. My new membership offers a perfect balance for investors looking to understand this exciting market. Using my electrical engineering knowledge and experience, I will release weekly exclusive videos ranging from quick 5-minute 101s to in-depth analysis, covering not just popular chip stocks, but aiming to explore every public semiconductor. Plus, join a private community of like-minded investors. Finally, I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
A few things that I found interesting from their financial statements. We'll start off with the income statement is, right, we saw this company grow a nice amount in revenue. The great thing, because of the aspect of their business, gross profit also grew a healthy amount, while total operating expenses did not grow that much, right? So overall, we can see gross profit grew by about 60, maybe even $70 million, while total operating expenses only grew by about $20 million. And again, it's thanks to the aspect of the business that they're in that becomes very high marginal profits, and we can see it overall right now. Now, if we take a closer look at their balance sheet, like we saw, this company has plenty cash at hand, so total current assets, so nothing I would worry about. And just compared to last quarter, they did increase their deferred revenue by about, it seems, $50 million. So again, we can see companies are coming in and getting some of that products, or maybe some of the long-term agreements with them to kind of increase those deferred revenue. Now, if we take a closer look at cash flow right off the bat, remember, same time last year, they were at a net income loss, where this year they are profitable. And that is one of the biggest changes in the cash flow from operations. Cash flow from operations was up roughly $150 million. Some investors are happy, right? That's what you want to see. And even though you can kind of subtract stock-based compensation, the company is still positive in cash flow from operations. Next, let's take a closer look at the letter to shareholders. A lot of the same, a little bit more charts here. We can see overall that total revenue continue to grow year over year when we're looking at that Q1 basis. So investors are obviously happy with the growth in forms of revenue. The other thing that they do discuss right now is they do mention that the arrival of the latest large language models have provided the world with the first real hints of more forms of artificial intelligence and how it will transform the enterprise software. They do mention that luckily for them, this is something that they've been working on the past, and that's why they're focusing on building that platform, the Artificial Intelligence Platform, AIP. They do mention that the first iteration of the platform will be made available to selected customers this month, and they have already had hundreds of conversations with potential customers about deploying the software, and are currently negotiating terms and pricing for access to the components of the platform. And this is what's going to be very interesting for them. This is such a new tech, in my opinion, that obviously is going to be super pricey. But even though it's pricey, what's going to be important is how much money and how much time will these companies be able to save from these platforms. And if they're able to kind of showcase that really great to the customers, then customers are going to be willing to pay the price, because in the long term of things, it's going to be a great long-term return for the customers and obviously Palantir as well. I did find it pretty interesting or pretty funny when we think of artificial intelligence. We're also thinking about kind of the Terminator and Game Over and AI taking over the world. So they do kind of explain that the machines, or kind of the software solutions that they're working with, must remain subordinate to its creators, and they have taken a lot of security measures to make sure that human operators must actually do the action before the software itself implements it. So they're showcasing and saying, hey, don't worry about the Terminator at the moment, at least for now. We are kind of doing some constraints to make sure nothing crazy happens. Another great momentum that they are seeing outside of large language models and their AIP is just the United States market, right? They do mention compounded annual growth rate of roughly 28% in these trailing 12 months. And overall, we can see kind of that annual trailing 12 months revenue in the United States continue to grow. And they do mention that, hey, this annual growth rate of 28% is coming during a time of significant macroeconomic uncertainties. And they do believe once things start to build back up, that their growth opportunity can be even stronger. And like I mentioned, one of the biggest reasons that I became super interested in this company was because of their AIP, and they do anticipate that the development of AIP will mark an even more significant moment in their advance. So overall, it does seem like a lot of bullish case news for Palantir. We can see the stock is still kind of holding on to some of those gains. Obviously, during the earnings call, something might be asked or something might be said that could affect it. But at least right now, we just saw a top overview of their earnings and one of the reasons I'm excited for this company. So I do want to say thank you to the Palantir community. My last video got some great response. So you guys are pretty awesome. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.